Welcome back to Overdrive. I am very pleased to have Jamie from Polaris with me today. How are you, man? It's great to see you.
Hi, good, thank you. Good. And yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on you guys. Are just tearing through Europe and the UK right now at the moment, and you are, I believe, the very first time you're going to be touching on Irish soil for the very first time. There's a show in Belfast and a show in Dublin as well. I just figured the best place to start is, I mean, I know, you know, the pandemic is a big thing that we all went through, and you've spoken a bunch about that, but would be right to say this would be the first big kind of stretching of your wings, so to speak, big time after the pandemic, coming out into Europe. It's a big tour for you guys. Coming out of all of that and all the things that were happening through the pandemic and everything and afterwards as well, I mean, does it finally feel good to just sort of get out and fucking just get down to what you've always wanted to do? And is everything going well?
Yeah, it definitely does feel nice to be, I guess, back to normal. You know, like we did a headline run into Europe and the UK at the end of last year, which ideally was the tour that was meant to happen in 2020 when the pandemic first happened. But, you know, we have already started, you know, getting back out there internationally. But now that, you know, those first tours are done and everything is genuinely back to normal and everything, it's good to like, okay, we're going back to Europe again with no issues. There's no details with like the whole COVID this and restrictions and everything. Like it's literally boom, we're ready to go, like business as usual. And it's feels really good. Feels good. Great to, like, I'm excited for these shows, these support shows with Whilst He Sleeps, and obviously to be headlining, coming to Ireland for the first time is damn sick. Like we've been wanting to come for a while, and the opportunity's just arisen that we can. So I'm very, very excited for these two shows. Very excited.
Just, you're one of those bands that actually turned a completely kind of fucked situation, I guess, into something sort of positive. Like you just put your heads down and you wrote this great album. Does it seem very strange when you're involved in something and you're writing and it's almost kind of encapsulating you and it's coming over you like a wave, and then you come out of it, and obviously the positiveness of releasing such a brilliant album, being able to tour it, is a great positive thing. So you've kind of got this yin yang of positive and negativity that are clashing in the middle.
We're always going to have balance.
Does that feel kind of a bit weird now when you go back through that period mentally in your brain and where you were when you were putting this album together, as opposed to now, you know, you're out around the world looking in the whites of people's eyes and doing what you love to do?
For me, it's never really felt weird. It's always kind of been more excited to finally get to play these new songs for the first time in everywhere that we go. Just like eager for people to hear it and to see how people are going to react to the songs, you know, if people are going to sing certain choruses or moments, or you know, how the crowds are going to react, if there's going to be lots of energy or this or that. Like for me as well, like, you know, performing our songs is a big release for, you know, for me mentally. So as much as in a way you're kind of reliving what you've put down on record and what we're talking about, it's very much met with just that like excitement and that rush of being on stage and performing to our fans as well. So it's never really been like that kind of, as you were asking, that kind of weird moment. It's always just been more, once the record is done and we're gearing up to start playing some new songs, I just can't wait to do it and to see how the songs are going to be, you know, how they're going to translate to a live show.
Particularly with this album, when you place that, say, alongside Death of Me, for you personally, do you see like a huge transformation in, i.e. confidence and maturity with the band, with music, with the songwriting? Because every album is kind of an extension of who you are collectively as people. And do you feel that there was a big leap with this album for you?
I mean, not really. Like but I can, like, you know, seeing the comments and the positivity and all the feedback since the album has come out. Like, I guess when, you know, there were moments where we think that, well, this is kind of like a bit of the step, we felt it's a step in the right direction with some of these songs and everything. I guess, you know, we'd always like to think that we're kind of growing in the right direction and maturing in that way. But when you're so in the thick of it, it's not very often that you kind of think that, I guess, or at least those moments happen few and far between. It's not really until you get to the later, at least for me, the later part the process, like, you know, towards the end of recording, and you're seeing it actually finally coming together. And then that's when you kind of have, at least for me, where I have those sorts of like, if it is like, you know, if we feel that we have matured or this or that, that's when I kind of really have those moments. Maybe not so much during the beginning. I mean, myself, I'm not largely in a part of the writing process as it is. So I guess that's probably where I feel more towards the end, when I'm seeing it really, really finally come together and can actually analyze the product for what it is instead of at the early stages.
You know, the Death of Me included a nomination for an ARIA, which was amazing, and not your first, I believe. You've had 2 nominations now, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Both of our albums have both been nominated, which is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Just with that, I mean, this is just speaking from my own thing. I would feel, oh man, like the pressure. Did you kind of have to just sort of mentally push those things aside and say, look, just focus on what we're doing because we love what we're doing and that's what it's about?
Yeah, you definitely have to push those thoughts and all that aside, or try to at the very least. You know, like when we're like writing The Death of Me, you know, we realizing how well received our first album, The Mortal Coil, was, it was definitely like that, damn, we set a pretty high bar that we now have to meet, you know. And then again, now with this our third album, it's kind of been the same thing of like, wow, The Death of Me went so well that we've got another level to keep, you know, a level to keep meeting, you know, a standard that people, I guess, expect. You know, at the end of the day, we've always written music for ourselves, and music that we think is sick and that we want to hear and we want to play live. You know, if we didn't like our own music, then who the hell else would, you know? Always. Even now that the album's out, it's like, oh, I hope people are still liking it, you know? Like.
One of the things that I found interesting, and a good few bands use this technique as well, is, I mean, you guys retreated to the Blue Mountains to write this album, and a lot of bands find a place, they go, they just shut the world out and they get stuck into it. That was obviously a really productive kind of situation for you guys. Going forward, is this going to be something that you'd love to do? Is like, pick a location, let's all just go there, let's just... Yeah.
Like we mainly, or the guys mainly, are writing at the studio at Rick's house. That's, you know, in I think it's his sister's old bedroom that's been turned into like the Polaris HQ kind of thing. And, you know, I guess it always helps to get out of the same old surroundings, you know, move into a completely new surroundings and let the creativity flow in a new environment. At least the handful of times when we have gone for a writing trip, it has worked. We've always come away. I mean, it has always been beneficial and it has always worked. And so I think we'd like to continue doing that in some way, whether it be a lot more regularly or at least a handful of writing trips, whatever it may be. I think we would like to still continue doing that.
Now, the album having just been released, really, and now the touring is very much underway in the EU and UK. Then you're off to America till the end of the year by looking at the plans for what's being scheduled. But what can you talk about next year? Are you kind of just under like a do not embargo, you can't mention anything? Are there big
plans? Well, it's getting booked up. It's getting booked up. Yeah, like there's obviously not a lot that I can say, but there's a lot of plans in the works, and, you know, it's going to be looking to be a relatively busy year. You know, I would love to just try and take this record and our band to a lot of, you know, to every corner of the earth. You know, like I'd love to hit new places. For example, we're coming to Ireland. I'd love to hit as many new places that we haven't played to before, and obviously just, you know, keep going back to Europe and to America and keep trying to reach new people and grow our band as much as we can. I love touring. I love what we do, and you know, it's literally week 2 or nearing the end of the second week that our album has been out, I think, and I can't wait to see how the record lasts, you know, this time next year, if it's lasted that well, if it's still going well, if, you know, I'm very, very excited, very excited for what's to come for next year.
Just a kind of a side question here, just looking at, you know, the current climate of heavy stroke underground, whatever what you want to call it, music that is coming out of Australia at the moment is fucking fantastic. Just, I wanted to get your perspective on the likes of like Parkway and Thy Art Is Murder, Carnival, and even Voyager, I suppose, with their just even the Eurovision Song Contest, then getting involved in that. I mean, does it feel like, you know, because I've spoken to bands for many years from Australia, and they'd say, oh, you know, we're kind of in this really difficult location. It's really hard to break into Europe and America, but there seems to be this sort of figurative door that's opened now, and people, because of such bands as Parkway, are really saying, holy shit, what's going on in Australia, man? And they're looking down. Is there, feel that sense even from locally, like the club scene in Sydney and stuff like that? It's kind of regenerated, you know, people's, I guess it's not just a fucking dream, it's actually this, we can actually do this.
Yeah. I mean, Parkway very much paved the way for Australian heavy metal bands, and also in a way kind of put Australia on the map for, you know, for heavy music. And I feel that like over the years, Australia has very much been in the spotlight. Like, you know, the world seems to pay a lot of attention to new bands that are coming out from Australia every day, and it's very exciting for us because it is quite difficult for, you know, we are a lot further away to the other parts of the world where there is, you know, a lot more regular touring and that, and vice versa for bands that come to Australia. It's quite difficult, you know, for international bands to come here and tour because it's a market that is so far away and it's quite expensive to come here and to tour, you know. But it's like those bands have definitely helped for sure. And, you know, the heavy music scene has never really died or has never really, you know, it's always been thriving. I feel like now more than ever, Australian heavy music is, the community, everything is thriving so much. There's a massive buzz with Australian heavy music, and there has been for years, and I think it's fantastic. Okay,
so as we said, just opening up the interview, this is the first time that you guys are making your way to Ireland, show in Belfast and in Dublin. Now, this is, obviously you're on tour with While She Sleeps right now, but these are headline shows for you. How deep into the back catalogue are we going? Are we keeping percentage-wise, like, is there a portion of the pie that's going to be just focused on Fatalism, or have you even decided these set lists yet for these shows?
Yeah, no, we've definitely been thinking about it for sure, and things are set in stone with what we'll be performing. It's a bit of a mix, you know. Obviously, I think we're focusing with these headline shows on the record because it's, you know, it's brand new and it's what I guess people want to be hearing, but also we don't want to forget some of the older stuff or other songs that people might want to hear, you know, from our previous albums as well, especially being our first time in Ireland. But, you know, I'm confident that people will be happy with the set list that we have. And, you know, if not, there will always be next time. We will be coming back.
Well, excellent. Well, Polaris will be in Ireland next week, 23rd and 24th. Next week, September. So if you haven't got a ticket, get your ticket, get down there, get up the front and get your...
We'll see you there.
It's ripped off. It's going to be fantastic. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me, and we'll see you in Dublin next week.
Let's go. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Jamie, thank you so much for your time on Overdrive, and I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you at the show.